once you get the documentation centralized and well organized, you can have you end up helping the customer care service, you end up helping the product, the tech, all the areas from your company, because everything becomes faster since you don't depend on people to understand things and to learn about things. And so for me, that's the most important impact of documentation, is decentralizing things from people.
Welcome to the Knowledgebase Ninjas podcast, where 𝐊𝐤𝐲 𝐓𝐚𝐤𝐤 of Document 360 finds the best SaaS self-service knowledge bases in the world and then interviews their creators. Let's get started with today's episode.
Welcome everyone to our Knowledgebase Ninjas podcast today. So today's guest is Eduarda Raddatz, technical writer at Matera. So how are you doing, Eduarda? And thank you once again for taking this big step and doing your podcast. And I'm really looking forward to know more about you and how did you initially get into this profession? Who inspired you? Yeah, just talk a little bit about yourself.
Okay. So, my name is Eduarda. You can call me Duda, which is my nickname. I guess it's easier. And I'm Brazilian. I'm 30 years old, and I live in the extreme south of Brazil, which is a not very famous part of Brazil, but still it's gorgeous. And let's talk about my background as a technical writer, right? Actually, I'm not I didn't do a graduation in technical writing. I did international relations in college, but life somehow bring me to the technical writing field. I started working at a small company here in Brazil called 𝐊𝐤𝐲 𝐓𝐚𝐤𝐞𝐚𝐰𝐚. I was working at the customer care team, and I was a customer service representative. Then I began writing some documents about the company's procedures for my personal use, because there was a lot of procedures and I couldn't remember all of them. So I tried to centralize them in one document. So maybe that could help me in my work, my daily work. And it did. And then I start sharing that document with my colleagues, and they end up like being very useful for them. So people start using more and more often. And when my management realized that that document was really helpful, she was like, oh my God, this might be something big for us. This might help us for real. And then they invite me to work solely on documentation. From that point on, I was responsible for the help center, the articles from the help center of 𝐊𝐤𝐲 𝐓𝐚𝐤𝐞𝐚𝐰𝐚, and also some internal operation materials. So that was back in 2019, and here we are today, still working with that.
Great. So what an inspiring story, Duda. So
Yeah.
great. So what does knowledge management mean to you? And coming from a customer services background, I can't think anybody else who can explain this better.
Yeah. Well, for me, right now it's my entire world because I love my profession. I love what I do. I think it's really important for the companies to focus on documentation, especially from where I came from, which was the customer care. And I really see the value of documentation in the routine of the company. So for me, documentation means organization, means sharing knowledge, means decentralized knowledge from one person. That's a huge problem for us, because normally the documentation is not documented. It's inside people's heads, and
Yeah.
that's the big challenge. So for me, is this entire world for me. It not only has a professional, but also has a person, because I really love what I do. So that's it.
Right. So since you have experienced both sides, right? So you said when you were as a customer services representative, you had no documentation, so you had to learn everything, and eventually you ended up creating those useful contents. So how does an effective knowledge management impact the overall success of an organization?
Well, it does a huge impact, because um, it helps to make all the process faster, since you don't have to go talk to that one person that knows everything about the product. So once you get the documentation centralized and well organized, you can have you end up helping the customer care service, you end up helping the product, the tech, all the areas from your company, because everything becomes faster since you don't depend on people to understand things and to learn about things. And so for me, that's the most important impact of documentation, is decentralizing things from people and bringing to a place. The most recommended is to do the single source of truth, right? So trying to do a single source of truth in your company, and that place will bring all the answers that the company has: customer service, has tech, has product, might need. So for me, that's it.
Great. So I'm sure you must be using something to create these contents and document knowledge base. According to you, what is the integral features of a robust knowledge base platform? What do you think the platform should have as a must features?
Well, nowadays I use Confluence, and Confluence already have a lot of features. And I think the most important ones are the ones that help you with SEO, because for me it's a must to have an organized documentation. So a feature that can help me to put titles, subtitles, bullet points, to help the taxonomy of the page, to help with keywords, to help with the research. It's a must for me that my team, once they research for my knowledge, for my content, they end up finding what they need. So for me, that's the most important thing.
So exactly, rightly said. You should have a good knowledge-based platform to help you create the best content, and most importantly, for the customers to grab those contents easily.
Yeah,
Now,
exactly.
as you evolved, the platform is also evolving. The field of knowledge management is also evolving. So, what do you see as a future trend that will shape how technical writers manage knowledge content in the coming years?
Well, it might sound cliche because we are hearing this all the time, but I think it's AI. Everyone is talking about it. It's really a trend, but I think it's really helpful for real. At Matera right now, the company that I work, we are starting to work with AI in our knowledge management center. Still, we are at the very beginning of the project, but I think it will help us to not only with the inside content, but for our users as well. Our goal is to use AI in our knowledge management platform, so the users can search for their doubts, and the AI will bring more accurate answers.
Great. That's really great to know, Eduarda, so that you're already in the latest trend and implementing some of that in your day-to-day activity. Now, as you rightly said, it's important that whatever we produce, or as the technical writers we produce, should be made easily accessible, right, for customers to take it. So what methods do you use to enhance the easy searchability and accessibility of your contents?
Mostly organization. I use a lot of organization methods to put my knowledge in the correct order, and I use a lot of SEO, as I mentioned before. I try to make my documents as readable as possible. So bullet points, keywords, titles and subtitles, things like that. I work mostly with that.
That's very, very easy and simple, but more effective.
Yeah. Yes, I guess so. I still feel that I have a lot to improve in that field, but for now on, it's at least with the documents that I'm working right now, it's working. It is bringing good feedbacks.
Great. So with that, we've done with our regular questions. So I'm sure you're reading a lot of contents in the web or blogs, many forms. Can you share some of your recently read documentation related resources with us? Any books, blogs that you came across?
The latest one was actually about, it was a survey about salary of technical writers. It was made by the blog I'd Rather Be Writing.
Mm-hmm. What's the one word that comes to your mind when someone says documentation?
Actually, two words, because it's organization and information. These two words together brings a perfect definition of documentation.
Mm-hmm. Great. Now, my last question to you is, what is that one piece of documentation related advice you would give to your 20-year-old self?
For me is to stay curious and to stay up to date to the latest trends. For me, that's it.
Nice, very simple again, and but very effective. So
Yeah.
great. So I think I'm done with my questions. Dwata, anything from yourself, your side to add that I have missed to ask?
I guess right now I'll be talking to the Brazilian public, because here in Brazil, technical writing is a very new field. We don't have a lot of technical writers here. And a huge challenge for most people that try to get into this field is the English,
Mhm.
because here we don't have a lot of courses about technical writing in Portuguese. We do have, I think, free ones, only free. And that is kind of a, a big no-no to most people, because a lot of people don't have English.
Mm.
So I guess for my Brazilian uh, colleagues, I would suggest to invest in English. For example, I don't have a perfect English. You notice that, but thank you for your patience. And but still, I'm trying to work and study all the time. So I do classes twice a week. I try to improve my reading and writing. So I think for my Brazilian fellows over there, I will suggest to invest in English, because it's a huge deal, and I think it will help a lot to bring more insights, to bring more fresh knowledge from around the world, and will bring you some opportunities like this.
Absolutely fantastic, daughter. And I'm so impressed with the way you've done this podcast and your willingness to help others and giving that very important tip that you think your country should take. So absolute pleasure to have you in this series. Now, with that, we've come to the end of our podcast, and whatever you're doing as your project, all the very best, and I'm sure you will be doing your best.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Gauri. Thank you so much for you guys that listen to this podcast. I'm sorry for anything that I might pronounce wrong or anything like that, but thank you so much again. And please add me on LinkedIn if you want. And that's it. Thank you so much, Gauri. This is amazing, and I'm very glad that I'm here today.
Great. Thank you. Take care. You take care and have a lovely day.
Thanks for listening to today's episode of the Knowledgebase Ninjas podcast. Please head to iTunes, rate, and provide honest feedback on the podcast. See you next week.